Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise and, well, get straight to the useful stuff.
That's the plan.
So, you sent over a really interesting source today. It's titled The Four Pillars of Investing Lessons for Building a Winning Portfolio by William J. Bernstein.
A classic, really.
Right. And normally you'd think, okay, deep dive into asset allocation, maybe market history.
Yeah, usual investment strategies.
We could have done that.
Mm.
But honestly, something else caught our eye, something maybe even more fundamental. Before you trust the advice, you've got to trust the source, right? The actual file.
Exactly. So today it's less about Bernstein's pillars of investing and more about the pillars holding up the document itself.
Precisely. We're diving into the unique digital characteristics of the PDF file you shared.
And this is fascinating because understanding this digital footprint, well, it's really the first step for any deep dive into anything, really.
Yeah.
Totally foundational. In this digital age, checking if your info is solid isn't just like a good idea. It's absolutely critical for reliable knowledge.
It's almost like the first pillar of building a winning portfolio of information.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Information integrity.
Okay, so let's dig in. When we looked at the file, the first thing wasn't the content, but just its digital shape.
Yeah, the wrapper.
The file name, once we decoded it, was pretty clear. The Four Pillars of Investing Lessons for Building a Winning Portfolio.
All caps, underscores. Tells you a bit about how it might have been stored or processed.
And it wasn't tiny. The size, over 31 million bytes. Specifically, 31,374,359 bytes.
That's hefty. That suggests it's more than just plain text. You're likely looking at charts, maybe images, things that add value, but also increase the file size.
Good point. And that size leads us to the next critical piece, ensuring integrity. How do we know this big file is actually the right file?
Yes. Digital fingerprints. Your source details gave us specific identifiers, like the MD5 hash. Let me see. E9114 60C8, it's 65B8, FD601, B2D70, 8609A.
Okay.
And there's also a SHA1 hash, ED901, F43, CBFF 4355729, FTB90049, STD, SAT3605888.
Right.
ANFAD 43C85858, E95413 by EPAFI AHAR, AFT57432, AFC 058BY1, EDFTCB ATE.
So 3 different ones. Why so many?
Well, they aren't just random characters. They're unique cryptographic checksums. Think of them like DNA for the file.
Okay, digital DNA.
Exactly. And having 3 different types. That gives you layers of assurance.
Yeah.
Each algorithm works differently, offering varying levels of cryptographic strength.
So it makes it really, really unlikely that the file's been tampered with.
Precisely. It guarantees that probably not even a single bit has changed since it was generated or last processed.
Yeah.
For any reliable source, but especially for financial advice, this kind of verification is just vital.
But okay, play devil's advocate. For someone just wanting to learn about investing, isn't checking MD5s and SHA whatever's a bit much?
Right.
What's the real risk if you skip this?
That is a really fair question. Think about it like this. You're about to make a big decision, maybe move some money around based on what you read. What if somewhere in that 300-page document, a key paragraph was suddenly changed? Or a chart was altered, maybe maliciously, maybe just accidentally during a bad download or copy? Without checking these fingerprints, these hashes, you'd have absolutely no way of knowing.
Yeah.
Your whole understanding, your strategy, could be based on flawed data.
So it's building on sand versus solid rock.
Exactly. You need that certainty. You need to know you're working with the authentic, complete source. If the foundation is shaky, how can you trust the financial wisdom built on top?
That really drives the point home. Okay, and speaking of complete, the file metadata also gave us some useful info on pages.
Yes, completeness is another aspect.
It showed 334 main pages found out of a maximum of 334. Total pages were 348, maybe including covers or appendices.
Right.
And crucially, it listed PDF generation missing pages as false.
And that is incredibly reassuring for you, the listener. It confirms the source is whole. It's an intact digital version.
No missing chapters, no gaps in the argument.
Precisely. You know you're getting the complete picture from Bernstein, as intended in this digital copy. It boosts the trustworthiness significantly, even before you read word 1.
So wrapping this up then, today's deep dive wasn't about the investment advice itself, but about the digital container holding it.
The integrity of the vessel.
Yeah, we've seen that being truly well-informed means starting with verifying your actual sources, understanding their digital foundation. And now, armed with this verified source, you can actually dive into Bernstein's wisdom with confidence. You know your starting point is solid.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for you listening. In this absolute flood of digital information we all face, how do you check? How do you personally verify the integrity, the completeness of the digital stuff you rely on for knowledge?
Yeah.
Maybe. That first pillar for any winning portfolio, even one of knowledge, is ensuring the digital bedrock is truly unshakable.
Something to definitely think about, because your understanding, maybe even your financial future, could depend on it.